Folks, welcome back to the Threes and Bobo here. So recently I was asked in a comment if I had ever gotten into an argument with an air traffic controller. Well, the short answer to that is no. I never felt it was the right place to get into an argument, a pissing contest, if you will, with an air traffic control on the air. You just don't do that. And we were taught that almost from day one when I went through pilot training. You just don't do that. If you have an issue, you can ask for a phone number to contact the air traffic controller so you can talk to them when you get on the ground to resolve any issue you might have. But you don't do it in the air. And I had a couple occasions where I felt I needed to have a come to Jesus meeting with an air traffic controller. One that comes to mind was we were on an approach in the weather coming back into Vance with minimum fuel. And I had a solo student on my wing. It was one of those days where the weather was fine when we took off, but then it just closed in and almost shut the base down. And I had this solo on my wing. He was a pretty good student. So we're in the soup and we're coming on base, IFR base, about 8 to 10 miles out to turn final. And I can't remember exactly what the issue was or the question was. I can't remember who asked it. But whatever it was, I got a smart-ass reply from the air traffic controller. And it just really fried me because I had my hands full with this solo student on my wing. And I was really concerned about dragging them in for a formation approach and landing. So anyway, like I said, I just couldn't. I can't remember what the issue was. I wish I could tell you. Anyway, we came in and we broke out about 300 or 400 feet. So I was able to drop the solo student because he was not qualified for a wing landing. I just asked him, "You got the runway?" "Yeah." "Okay, you're on your own and you're cleared off." He went ahead and landed. We got picked up and then brought around and subsequently landed ourselves. At any rate, as soon as I got down, got the jet parked, got the forms filled out, got on the step van, instead of going back to the squadron, I asked the van driver to take me over to the GCA shack, RAPCON. We used to call it GCA shack, Ground Control Activity or whatever it was, GCA shack. Anyway, I went over there. I still got my G suit on. I left my parachute in the van. I said, "I'll be right back. This won't take long." Still had my G suit on. I'm sure I had mask rings on my face. And I was kind of annoyed. So I walked in, rang the buzzer, because those were all secure places, and I asked to speak to the shift supervisor. I'm not going to take it up with the kid, whoever it was. I'm not going to do that. So I told the shift supervisor, "This was my call sign, Reno so-and-so. About 20 minutes ago I was on approach." And I said, "I think this kid got a little bit snarky with me, and I didn't appreciate it. I didn't appreciate the time, and the more I think about it, I appreciated it less." I said, "I would appreciate it if you would listen to the tapes. If I'm wrong, I'm happy to admit it or whatever. But if you think there's a teachable moment here," well, I said, "just call the kid aside and explain to him what I'm talking about, and just kind of let it go at that." And I was fine with that. And that's kind of the way that was my nature in handling things like that. So I just kind of let that one go. Another time, Greg Davis and I were flying in his Finney flight. And we had spent a little bit too much time out in the area than we should have. So we come back to Randolph and we're out of gas, okay? We don't have a lot of gases left. So when it was about 10:30 in the morning, if I remember, or maybe 11, we come back in and are like this, and Greg pitches out, and I pitched out with him. He pitched out, and I pitched out too. I didn't have the gas to count 1001, 1002, 1004. No, I didn't have that much gas. So I went right with him. Only what happened is through the turn, I kind of just allowed myself to float wide so that when I rolled out, I took my spacing that way. and then just flew a nice leisurely turn to final. Well, yes, Greg calls a final turn, and he goes in, and I started a final turn and came in, and I ended up getting my spacing. But I get a call from this kid in the tower. It says, Reno 172, be advised, sir, you look really close to lead. And I thought to myself, who is this bozo? I said, Roger, thank you. I'll keep an eye on it. So that one, when I landed, I walked over the phone, called the tower shift supervisor, and I said, how much time does that kid that was controlling traffic have in a T-38? Well, sir, I don't think he has any time. Well, good. Why don't you just tell him to stand there and watch how things work out, and maybe he'll learn something. And I told him the call sign. The shift supervisor knew what I was talking about. He kind of chuckled, and he says, I've been kind of waiting for your call, sir. We just let that one go. The third incident, I don't even know if I'd call it an incident or not, but it really wasn't with an air traffic controller. This one was kind of unique. It was when I was with the airlines. So we're in Detroit, and we get clearance from ground control to push, and he says, you're cleared to push tail north. Okay, so I get on the intercom, and I tell the truck driver, I said, okay, we've been cleared to brakes are released, we're cleared to push tail north. And the guy says, sir, we don't do tail north at this gate. And I'm going, oh, God, why me? Ground control tells me to put the tail north, and numbnuts is telling me we don't do that. And I said, okay, to tell you what, go ahead and stop the tug. I said, we haven't gotten that far. Stop the tug. I'm setting the brakes. I said, what I'd like you to do is you're cleared off headset. Go into the shop in there, call ground control, and you two get it sorted out. I said, because I don't do second party pissing contests. I wasn't about to get into this relay and back and forth. And I said, when you get it sorted out, you come back and I'll be happy to fly the airplane as you'd like me to. He says, okay, sir, this time we'll put your tail north, but we usually don't do that. Okay, you won that one. Fine. But I'll come back to how I started this. No, I didn't have, I don't think, any altercations with air traffic controllers where I got into an argument with them. It wasn't in my nature to do that, and I wouldn't do that. The second part of Garth's question was, did I ever have an air traffic controller give me his phone number and ask me to call him upon landing? Yeah, that happened one time on a departure out of Detroit. Without going into a lot of details, I screwed up. It was my fault. I transposed a heading direction, if you will. Instead of going 220, I went 200, and it set off some whistles and bells. Okay, it was truly my fault. So he said on departure, he says, Northwest, he says, can you give me a call at this number upon landing? I said, you bet. I knew right away what it was. I called him up and I said, listen, he said, well, we had the alarms go off. He said, it really wasn't that big a deal, but once the alarms go off, we don't have any recourse but to follow it all the way through. And I said, okay, fine. I wasn't violated, but it was one of those marks where you just go, it happens. So if I can help some young aviator by admitting this, well, more power to you. Just listen up. I've known all my life. I've had a little touch of dyslexia, and it pops up every now and bites me every now and then. But after years and years of living with it, I'm KO now. So with that being said, this is Bo. Nice to talk to everybody. Base gear. Stop.